So, well, I want to get into the subject of generative AI, and in particular, generative AI as an enabler for transformation, right? So, not thinking about necessarily embedding generative AI into your processes, but thinking about the use of generative AI as an accelerator for business transformation. And if you read the industry rags, right? I mean, there's some of them that are out there that will say this spells the doom for systems integrators, right? And that they're in this, it's a race to zero. And then there's other parts of it that says this is what's going to propel the growth of systems integrators for the next 10 years as companies go in and actually have to put in generative AI, right? So there's kind of both sides of the equation there. If you get in and look at Accenture's numbers, right, and I spend a little bit of time looking at Accenture because they're a publicly traded company, what you'll see is they are definitely growing in the space of generative AI. But what you're also seeing is the other areas and the other services that they are providing are shrinking in terms of the actual services. And I can't help think, right, that some of that shrinking is the actual application of generative AI at companies saying we don't need those services from Accenture at this level anymore because maybe we've actually implemented. So it's just kind of a theory I've got out there right now that says, is that happening? So I'd love to know kind of from your perspective, right? How are you seeing today the application of generative AI and how it might be affecting the market in terms of the application of systems integration services?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got a really astute observation there, and you've probably heard this saying before: is like your job's not going to get replaced by generative AI, but you could be replaced by somebody who's using generative AI to do your job better, right? And I think you see a lot of that today, and I think there's like a handful of areas that are putting pressure on system integrators. If I'm a subscriber to the deep learning module of ChatGPT, I effectively have a McKinsey, BCG, or Accenture in my pocket that I can get really thoughtful answers from at a lot less money than potentially engaging that SI for an initiative.